You can either choose he's seen it before or he knew the IV liquid's color, but I'm going to say he knew of the IV liquid's color. From the facts before us, the answer is clear. The witness knew that the IV liquid was yellow. Why? Because he's seen it before. But not inside the blue bag we see in the photo. He saw the liquid by itself in a clear, colorless bag. I suppose he would have to, but I'm still not clear as to what all this means. Ask yourself, why would he know if he didn't work at the hospital? That's where you'll find your meaning, Your Honor.
I'm afraid I find nothing. So what if he knew the IV liquid's color? We've been getting excited over absolutely nothing to our teeny boppers fans, yeah?
The IV liquid is only evidence proving the time of the death. A 30-minute hourglass with 20 minutes worth of sand remaining. Your claim, Prosecutor Gavin. I remember it well. However, there's a critical difference between the hourglass and the IV bag. Wait, I know! An hourglass uses sand, but the IV bag uses liquid. I'm right, right? As much as it pains me to say this, Your Honor, no. Unlike the sands through an hourglass, IV liquid enters the patient's body. At which point, like magic, it disappears. However, what if the amount of IV liquid had increased? You couldn't tell, could you? After all, there's no way of you knowing how much went in.
Let me get this straight here, right? You're seeing the witness water down the victim's IV bag?
Not with water, but with IV liquid. That's how you would know the IV liquid was yellow. No, wait, I said wait! How am I an amateur such as myself essayed to perform such a task? I am an amateur too, but I can pour water in a cup.
I'm afraid there's quite a big difference between a cup and an IV bag. Quite! Can you prove our witness is capable of such a feat?
Hopefully I gave Klavier no time to speak. If I didn't, sorry about that. He has a point, amateurs. I at least would have some difficulty pouring IV liquid into that bag. You don't need to be an expert to see the look on the witness's face. He added liquid to the IV bag to throw out the time of the death.
I tire of these fairy tales lacking evidence.
Well, Mr. Wright, any solid evidence to bring us back down to earth? Valiant Gramarye, I'm afraid your magic won't serve you well in life of crime. Might I ask what you're strongly suggesting? Magic relies on props, and props become evidence. Our witness was certainly able to increase the amount of IV liquid in the bag. All he had to do was work a little magic, and the prop was a syringe. The victim's syringe? It's the perfect prop for that magically increasing IV trick. And easy enough for an amateur to use.
What kind of evidence is that? The syringe was clean, not a trace of liquid in it.
And don't you find that odd, Prosecutor Gavin?
What?
The victim had the syringe to administer his insulin shots. There should have been traces of insulin left inside. Well, Valiant Gramarye, as you pointed out yourself, the IV liquid makes the perfect clock. One that you could manipulate at will. Alakazam! That's how you argue back with freaking a prosecutor. Apologists, learn from rights. I do believe, well, with this being his first, that burden of this trial has been a bit too much to bear for Prosecutor Gavin. I'm afraid that while there is a doubt as to the amount of IV liquid in the bag, the time of death cannot be proven. And that brings our trial to a close for today. Well, maybe I can squeeze an extra day out of this. I can do a little much needed investigation work. I see there's no objections. Court is adjourned.
Truly, there's no substitute for experience. Nothing blinds one to the truth so effectively. A word to the wise. Underestimate the young and they'll sweep your feet out from under you. In a way you never ever expected. You see, I know exactly what you're thinking.
What's he talking about?
You see, the witness used the syringe to manipulate the level of the IV liquid. But there is no proof.
There's no proof he didn't do it either.
Yes, quite true.
Huh? He's admitting it.
Nor was this witness quite as decisive as I hoped. This I admit. After all, why linger in the past when the future holds so much?
You have something in mind, Prosecutor Gavin?
Prove her, Judge. I have another way to prove my case. With evidence, no less.
What's this?
This is the victim's magnifique Grammary's diary.
Diary?
After going to the hospital, Magnifi began writing his memoirs, it seems. The story of his birth, his starting debut, and of meeting his disciples. It seems he intended for the last chapter to end quite appropriately with his death.
Wait, that book doesn't say what the reason was, does it? The reasons why his disciples couldn't refuse his last request?
Sadly, it does not. What's important here is on the last page. Apparently, the victim wrote in his journal that night. Even after the IV had begun at 11 PM. Let's read it, shall we?
Tonight's IV is in. This does appear to be written just before his death. The court says this is evidence. Magnifi's diary added to the court record.
Read the very last part with particular care. This journal may end here or it may go on, but not long. That depends on his hand. Of course, by his, he refers to our defendant, Zach Grammery.
That would make sense, yes. He was the first scheduled visitor after all.
But look at what he said before that. Magnifique Grammery intended to write again. That is, if Zach Grammery didn't pull the trigger. I see the defense understand the meaning of this. The victim diary does not go on. It ends. Because Magnifi's life was brought to an end by the defendant Zach Grammery.
Order! 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 Prosecutor Gavin, are you certain that Magnifique Grammery wrote this?
There is no mistaking his handwriting.
Oh dang it. According to this, Magnifique intended to did intend to continue the diary. Yet if his diary ended here, which plainly it did,
then the one who pulled the trigger was the first visitor, Zach Grammery. Well, how do you like me now, her right? Still too green for your tastes,
He's right about the diary being pretty clear. Still, I find it hard to believe that he overlooked such an obvious problem with his previous evidence. Well, Mr. Wright, the witness testimony we heard was lacking. But, put together with this evidence, it seems quite sufficient for a case. If the diary is accepted like this, the trial is over. Maybe it's time for me to show them something. You got one piece of evidence we'll get to show. I'm left with no other choice but to show my own evidence. What? You have some evidence that overturns this diary?
It's not too late to rethink this and avoid more embarrassment.
Very well, please show us your evidence, Mr. Wright.
Incidentally, don't even think of showing us this diary I've just shown the court. Now that we've come this far, I hope you have a little something more decisive. Show us evidence that proves the victim continued writing his diary.
Alright, I'd be happy to. Does this evidence proving the diary didn't end with this page? Is this right?